Welcome on behalf of the Ministry of Faith Baptist Church in Water Valley, Mississippi. Thanks for viewing this video presentation. The story Moonstruck, which I'm about to share with you, is written by J. Calvin Reid. Reid's short story Moonstruck is one of 30, which he wrote and incorporated into a small book titled Bird Life in Wington. The stories within Bird Life in Wington are set during the time of America's Great Depression, a period of history which Reid himself personally experienced. Bird Life in Wington is still available for sale today, easily found with an internet search engine. John Calvin Reid Jr. was born in April 1901. He is known as being a distinguished American preacher, teacher, author, and faithful pastor until his death in 1996. But perhaps his favorite identities were that of loving husband to Charlotte and father. Reid was a very capable man, earning both a PhD and Doctor of Divinity degrees. He penned his short stories during a week, and then he used them on Sunday morning as a sermonette in the church where he pastored. As J. Calvin Reid wrote in his preface to the book Bird Life in Wington, picture on a stand beside the pulpit a little white cardboard church with a steeple and miniature bells, the First Birdarian Church of Wington. Perched around the church and in front of it and on top are various bird members. Mrs. Robin with a new spring hat, Senator Starling with a cane under his wing, Professor Magpie wearing his commencement cap and gown, Baldy Eagle with a baseball cap, and Mr. Heron with a fishing rod. These are all the colorful cardboard cutouts, subtly suggesting human traits as well as bird characteristics. Each Sunday a new bird member appears. Although Pastor Reid wrote to appeal to children, it is widely popular among the adult segment of his congregation, and as he states in his own words, caused me to prolong the series far beyond my original intention, even urging him to publish the Wington series. Well, enough said for the story's background. Now it's time for me to share with you J. Calvin Reid's a short story called Moonstruck. Bill Whippoorwill and Hoo Hoo Owl are getting very tired of being in the hospital, but Dr. Snowbird says they will have to stay at least 2 weeks more. The accident was quite serious. Both of Bill's legs were broken, while Hoo Hoo suffered a fractured skull and a broken wing. I suppose the trouble really began on that Sunday evening about 6 weeks ago when Bill and Hoo Hoo were watching the moon rise. It was full that night, and ever so big and bright, as it slipped up over the hill. "Wouldn't it be nice if we had the moon with us all the time?" said Bill. "I do hate those dark, gloomy nights when the moon doesn't come. It's hard to see the gnats and mosquitoes that sometimes we don't have enough to eat for supper." "Well, if we could catch the moon," said Hoo Hoo, "we could hang it in that big tree there beside our nest. Then we wouldn't have any more dark, gloomy nights." "Why don't we?" said Bill. "It isn't far. It's just beyond that hill." With that, Mrs. Owl and Mrs. Whippoorwill, who were sitting nearby, just laughed out loud. My, said Mrs. Whippoorwill, "what will you children think of next?" "But, Mother, we can fly right over there and catch the moon. We'll hurry right back." "Who can take hold of one side? I can take hold of the other side, and we'll bring it home with us. Then you and Mrs. Owl can hang it in the tree, and every night our yard will be pretty and bright just as it is now." "Bill," said Mrs. Whippoorwill, "the moon isn't just beyond that hill. It's thousands and thousands of miles away." "Also, it weighs several billion tons," said Mrs. Owl. "A rather heavy load for two little birds." "Yes, and another thing," said Mrs. Whippoorwill. "There's no air up there where the moon is, so even if you could fly that far, you would not be able to breathe." "So, children," said Mrs. Owl very gravely, "you must never try to fly to the moon. It's too dangerous even to think about." Next evening, as it began to grow dark, Bill said to Hoo Hoo, "Our mothers don't know everything. Sometimes they act like old fogies. I don't believe the moon is that far away. Well, neither do I, said Hoo-Hoo. Anybody can see that it comes up just on the other side of that hill. I get so tired of my mother saying, don't do this and don't do that. So do I, said Bill. Let's slip over that top of the hill right now. And when the moon comes up, we'll grab it and carry it home, and we can put it in the treetop ourselves. Then we'll tell our mothers it fell from the sky and lodged up there. So away they flew to the top of the hill, which wasn't very far away. And there they sat, side by side, on a limb, waiting for the moon to rise. They didn't have to wait long, for in less than 5 minutes, sure enough, the moon appeared, only it came up over the hill just beyond them, instead of the place where they were sitting. There it is, said Bill. Let's go get it. And away they flew, straight towards the moon. Look, said Hoo-Hoo as they came closer, it's coming to meet us. Yes, it is, replied Bill. Only there are 2 instead of 1. Isn't that wonderful? You can catch one and I'll catch the other. Oh, I'll take the one on the right, said Hoo-Hoo. You can have the one on the left. My, aren't we having fun? Mothers don't know everything, do they? And that's the last word either of them spoke until they came to in the hospital. You see, the 2 moons turned out to be the headlights of an automobile which came up over the hill just as Bill and Hoo-Hoo were expecting the moon. The driver doesn't know yet what was that hit his windshield, thump, thump. But believe me, Bill and Hoo-Hoo know. They know another thing, too, that it would not be a bad idea to pay more attention to what they're taught at Sunday school. For guess what the memory verse was, which their teacher taught them the very Sunday before their accident? Yes, you're right, the 5th commandment. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. I do hope that all the other birds in Wington will be more careful to remember on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday the lessons which they learn at church on Sunday. Thanks so much for watching this YouTube presentation of the reading of J. Calvin Reed's story, Moonstruck. Just one of 30 short stories in his book, Bird Life in Wington. On behalf of the members and friends of Faith Baptist Church in Water Valley, Mississippi, I extend our prayers that God will bless your heart and home with his best in Christ Jesus.